November 16, 2017 meeting of the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees is now called to order. As you will note in your board materials of today's board meeting, we have several items on the agenda today. And so the second item listed on your agenda is the roll call declaration of the quorum. So at this time, we would need the roll call. Secretary Tonington, if you would please call the roll.
Okay, thank you, Chair Walker. Please signify your presence by saying present. Trustee Cole?
Present.
Trustee Crabell?
Present.
Trustee Freeman?
Here.
Trustee Lewis?
Present.
Trustee Martin?
Present.
Trustee McKenzie? Trustee Mitchell?
Present.
Trustee Seckman?
Present.
Trustee Walker?
Present.
Trustee Davis?
Present.
Chair Walker, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. This time I would like to acknowledge, recognize the presence of the President's Cabinet. We'll have them to first of all stand and be acknowledged today. Welcome. Secondly, all of our deans, the deans who are present today, if you would stand. Thank you for your. And of course, the President of our SGA President who's here today. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Dean Stevenson will lead us in our invocation. We thank you so much for always being prompt and present to do that. Thank you.
Let us bow. God, in this season of Thanksgiving, we applaud the many blessings that we see in our presence. We thank you for Tennessee State University, those that it serves. We pray, God, for your strength, your wisdom. We pray, God, that you would give guidance. We thank you for these board members, those who've traveled near and far. We continue to bless them. We love you. Amen.
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 Is Lauren Carter here from THAC?
Yeah.
I met Lauren Carter from THAC.
A representative from THAC is here today. Lauren, is she here? Oh, there we go.
Hi,
Lauren.
Lauren Carter.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we knew this. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. The first action item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the August 17, 2017 board meeting. And you have in your November 16, 2017 board materials the minutes for August 17, 2017 board meeting. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 board meeting. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 board meeting as reflected and as presented in the board material for November 16, 2017.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. The question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 board meeting as reflected and contained in the board materials for November 16, 2017 board meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same. Motion is approved. And the next item on the agenda is the Audit Committee report. The chair recognizes the Audit Committee Chair, Trustee Cole, who will report out the actions and other items from today's Audit Committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Audit Committee met today to take action on 3 items and to receive and discuss the approval of, to receive and discuss 2 other items. The committee voted to recommend to the full board, 1, the approval of the August 17, 2017 Audit Committee meeting minutes, 2, the approval of the selection of Ms. Adrienne Davis to serve as the Director of Internal Audit, and 3, the approval of the revised fiscal year 2017-18 audit plan. In addition, President Glover and Ms. Cynthia Brooks and the Director of Internal Audit, Ms. Davis, she discussed completed external audits and internal audits and provided a report on the institutional risk assessment. Your board material contains information on all of those items. As I stated earlier, the Audit Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Audit Committee meeting, as they are contained in the book that you have now for today's meeting, November 16. You have in your November 16th board material the minutes for the August 17, 2017 Audit Committee meeting. On behalf of the Audit Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Audit Committee meeting as contained in the board material for the meeting today, November 16, 2017 board meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none. The question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Audit Committee meeting. It's contained in the board materials for November 16, 2017 board meeting. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same. The motion is approved.
With the departure of Mike Batson as the TSU's Director of Internal Audit, President Glover commenced the search for a new Director of Internal Audit. At the August 17, 2017 Audit Committee meeting, President Glover discussed the search process for selecting a new director. After conducting an extensive search and through thorough search process, President Glover identified Ms. Adrienne Davis as the top candidate for the position. President Glover called and conferred with me as the chair of the audit committee as to her selection. After conferring with me, President Glover offered Ms. Davis the director of internal audit position, and she accepted. Is she here today? Is she?
Oh, there she is.
Stand.
Yeah. Is she there? Does she stand up in front of recognize? Thank you. Your November 16, 2017 board material contains information regarding Ms. Davis's background and credentials. Very quickly, Ms. Davis is a certified public accountant. She attended Alabama A&M University, where she earned her Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. She later earned a Master's of Business Administration with a concentration in accounting from Tennessee Technological University. Ms. Davis comes to Tennessee State University with extensive auditing experience. She has been at the Comptroller's Office for 11 years, progressing to a supervisory position in overseeing daily audit activities and supervising the audit team. The Audit Committee charter requires that the Audit Committee approval of the appointment of the Director of Internal Audit. And in light of the importance of this position to the full board, the Audit Committee asks the full board's approval of this selection. Based on the Audit Committee's review and discussion of Ms. Davis's background and qualifications for the Director of Internal Audit position, the Audit Committee voted to recommend for approval by the full board Ms. Davis's selection as the Director of Internal Audit at Tennessee State University. On behalf of the Audit Committee, I move to approve the selection of Ms. Adrienne Davis to serve as TSU's Director of Internal Audit.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the selection of Ms. Adrienne Davis to serve as TSU's Director of Internal Audit. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers say nay. The motion is approved. Welcome, Ms. Davis, to TSU.
The Audit Committee also recommended approval of, and for the full board's approval, the Department of Internal Audit Plan for fiscal year 2017 and 2018 at their respective meetings on August 17, 2017. The revised audit plan is contained in your November 16, 2017 board materials that you have today. The revised audit plan reflects the director and the assistant director's updated workloads. It includes risk-based audit recommendations recommended by the Institute of Internal Auditors and covers the annual audit period ending June 30, 2018. Based on Audit Committee's review and discussion of the revised fiscal year 2017-18 audit plan, the Audit Committee voted to recommend for approval by the full board the revised fiscal year 2017-2018 audit plan. On behalf of the Audit Committee, I move to approve the revised fiscal year 2018 audit plan as contained in your minutes today, November 16, 2017.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the revised fiscal year 2017-18 audit plan as contained in the November 16, 2017 board materials. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers? Motion is approved. Trustee Cole.
Chairman Walker, that concludes the Audit Committee's report.
Thank you, Trustee Cole, and the other members of the Audit Committee for your service on the Audit Committee. And the next item On the agenda is the Finance and Budget Committee report. The chair recognizes the Finance and Budget Committee Chair, Trustee Corbell, who will report out the actions and information items of today's Finance and Budget Committee meeting. Trustee
Great.
Corbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Budget Committee met today to discuss and vote on specific committee agenda items. The committee voted to recommend 3 items for action for the board today. One is the approval of the August 17th, 2017 Finance and Budget Committee meeting minutes. Second, approval of the institutional revised budget. And third, the approval and authorization for President Glover to execute a notice of intent to sever from the Tennessee Board of Regents on the procurement function. The Finance and Budget Committee also heard from President Glover and members of her staff on a report on the THEC funding formula and a report on TSU's external funding. The information for all of this is contained in your November 16th, 2017 board materials. First item is stated earlier, the Budget and Finance Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of August 17th, 2017 meeting. You have in your November 16th, 2017 board materials the minutes for the August 17th, 2017 Budget and Finance Committee meeting. So on behalf of the Finance and Budget Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2017 Finance and Budget Committee meetings as contained in your board packet today.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Finance and Budget Committee meeting as contained in the board materials of the November 16, 2017 board meeting. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion is approved.
Great. Our committee also, in the materials before you today, you'll find materials related to institutional revised budget. So recall that under TSU's budgeting control policy, the original budget for each fiscal year is known as the proposed budget and is prepared in the spring. And we reviewed that at the last board meeting. This budget is based on the level of state funds recommended in the governor's proposed budget, as well as early estimates of factors such as enrollment growth, research activities, and availability of federal funds. The proposed budget was presented and approved in the June meeting of the board. So historically, a revised budget is what we talked about today, is prepared in the fall of each year and submitted to the governing board for approval at this meeting, the winter meeting. The final budget submitted for each fiscal year is the estimated budget. It includes final adjustments to the current year budget. It is the current budget against which final year-end actuals are compared. It is prepared and submitted and considered by the board at the same time as the proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year. So based on this, the Finance and Budget Committee's review and discussion of the institutional revised budget, the committee voted to recommend for the approval by the full board the institutional revised budget as contained in your materials today. So on behalf of the Finance and Budget Committee, I move to approve the institutional revised budget as contained in the November 16th, 2017 board materials.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the institutional revised budget as contained in the November 16, 2017 board materials. Pursuant of the board's bylaws, a roll call vote is required on motions involving budget items. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Thank you, Chair Walker. Trustee Cole?
Aye.
Trustee Corbell?
Aye.
Trustee Freeman?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Mitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Seckman?
Aye.
Trustee Walker?
Aye. All right, the motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Third element was under the Focus Act and effective April 13, 2017, Tennessee State University severed from the University of Tennessee, or from the Tennessee Board of Regents as to all functional operations except 3 specific areas. 1 is procurement, 2 is capital project planning and management, and 3 is data systems. TSU, as well as other locally governed former TDR universities, must apply to and receive approval from the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, THEC, in order to assume the performance of the above referenced functions. THEC has issued guidance to TSU and to other locally governed institutions to inform them about the conditions and requirements to sever from the TBR in the 3 respective functional areas I just mentioned. Per the Focus Act and THEC guidance, TSU may sever from the TBR for the purpose of procurement beginning on December 1st, 2017, or any time thereafter, pending THEC's approval. TSU is required to inform THEC in writing 6 months prior to the intent to sever from TBR. The intent to sever form must be signed by the chairman of the board or the president with proper board authorization. The university wishes to notify THEC immediately of its plans to sever from TBR procurement effective July 1st, 2018. The intent to sever form is contained in your materials for the November 16th, 2017 board meeting. Based on the Finance and Budget Committee's review and discussion of the procurement severance matters and the intent to sever form, the Finance and Budget Committee voted to recommend to the full board that the board authorize President Glover to execute the intent to sever form as contained in the November 16, 2017 board materials. So on behalf of our committee, I move to authorize President Glover to execute the intent to sever form as contained in the November 16, 2017 board materials.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Question is on the motion to authorize President Glover to execute the intent to sever form as contained in the November 16, 2017 board materials. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposes? The motion is approved. Mr. Cordero?
Thank you. Chair Walker, this concludes the Finance Committee's, Budget Committee's report.
Thank you, Trustee Cobell, and the other members of the Finance and Budget Committee for your service on this important committee. And the next item on the agenda is the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee report. The chair recognizes the Academic Affairs Student Affairs Chair, Trustee Martin, to report out the actions and items and other items from today's Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting. Trustee Martin.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee met today to vote on an agenda item and to receive information on other agenda items. As to the first item on the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee agenda, the committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the August 17th, 2017 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting minutes. The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also received an update on the visit by Tennessee State University's accrediting body, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, also commonly known as SACS, in connection with TSU's substantive change in governance. After the SACS review team visited the campus on September the 19th through the 21st, 2017, the team concluded that TSU's change in governance is in full compliance with SACS governance accreditation standards. The full commission will be acting on the team's report at the SACS December 2017 meeting. The committee also reviewed information from President Glover and her staff on the SACS 10-year reaffirmation of accreditation review. As part of SACS accreditation standards, institutions of higher education, including TSU, must undergo an accreditation reaffirmation process every 10 years. The university commenced its last reaffirmation process in 2010 and was approved for reaffirmation in 2012. The university is in reaffirmation class of 2020. The next reaffirmation report of SACS is due in September of 2019 with the site committee visit in 2020. President Glover and her staff also provided an update on the implementation of the strategic plan, reported on new student housing and related issues, and provided information on the construction of the new health sciences building. The committee concluded its meeting with President Glover and her staff reporting on matters of interest involving student affairs, including the prevalence of mental and physical health issues experienced by TSU students and college students in general. Information regarding all of these items are contained in your board materials for today's meeting. As I stated earlier, the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for the November 16, 2017 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for the November 16, 2017 board meeting.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Academic and Student Affairs Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for the November 16, 2017 board meeting. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And the motion is approved. Trustee Morton.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Trustee Morton, and all the other members of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee for your service on this very key committee. The next item on the agenda is the Executive Committee report. And as the Chair of the Board and Chair of the Executive Committee, I will report out the actions and information items from today's Executive Committee meeting. The Executive Committee met today to discuss and vote on specific committee agenda items. The committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the August 17, 2017 Executive Committee meeting minutes and the adoption of the board's Executive Committee procedures governing the President's annual performance review. The Executive Committee also discussed the plan to review President Glover's salary and compensation package to ensure competitiveness with presidents at peer institutions. The Executive Committee will report back to the board at a later date on its review and any related recommendations. As I stated earlier, the Executive Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Executive Committee meeting as contained in your board materials for November 16, 2017 board meeting. On behalf of the Executive Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the August 17, 2017 Executive Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for the November 16, 2017 board meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2017 Executive Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for November 16, 2017 board meeting. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion is approved. At the August 17th board meeting, the board approved board policy number 004, selection, evaluation, and retention of the president, which sets forth the policy under which the board shall select, evaluate, and retain the president. Pursuant to the board policy number 004, the board shall evaluate the president's job performance on an annual basis. Under board policy number 004, the board delegated to the Executive Committee the authority to organize and conduct an annual performance review of the president in accordance with procedures adopted by the Executive Committee. The August 17, 2017 Executive Committee meeting, the committee preliminarily reviewed and discussed procedures for conducting the President's annual performance review. The procedures were included in the August 17, 2017 board meeting materials and discussed as part of the Executive Committee report during the August 17, 2017 board meeting. The procedures, which are contained again in the November 16, 2017 board materials, include the President's preparation of a written self-assessment and review of the self-assessment by the full board and the solicitation of confidential written feedback from board members and others as determined appropriate by the Executive Committee or the board. After the Executive Committee reviewed the procedures again as it's a meeting today, the Executive Committee now seeks the board's adoption of Executive Committee procedures governing the President's annual performance review as contained in the November 16th board materials. On behalf of the Executive Committee, I move to approve the adoption of the Executive Committee procedures governing the President's annual performance review as contained in the November 16th, 2017 board materials. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a discussion. I did review the proposed performance evaluation policy, and as a faculty trust, I would like to provide a perspective. First of all, I think we should have not only annual performance review, but also periodic comprehensive review, maybe every 3 to 5 years. This is similar to the one adopted by one of our peer institutions. When a comprehensive review is performed, it should be incorporated into the annual review. Maybe independent consultants to be chosen by the board may perform the comprehensive review. This is also consistent with the guidelines of the Association of Governing Boards. Having said that, I would like to amend the adoption if possible, and the reasoning is that in many academic institutions, and specifically at Tennessee State University, we conduct evaluations and surveys at many levels. For example, every faculty is evaluated by students for every course that they teach. Every department chair is evaluated by faculty in the department annually, and then the deans use that as a parameter to evaluate or assess the success of the department chairs. Similar department chairs use the student evaluations to evaluate faculty annually. And by the same token, deans are evaluated by all the faculty in the colleges, and then academic affairs use that as a parameter to assess or to evaluate the deans. And with the same logic, I think it is natural that our president is annually evaluated by the faculty, and maybe the board of trustees may use it as a parameter in the evaluation process. Well, most of the programs are initiated by the faculty. All of the courses are taught by the faculty. Impact of any minor or major changes in the university are first felt by the faculty. So if it's possible, I would like to propose an amendment and maybe adding the statement to the process for annual evaluation. The process for the president's annual performance review includes an annual survey of faculty regarding on the performance of the president.
You would have to move to amend the motion, and then, so you would then extend that and ask, in fact, if you want to vote on that.
Yes, right,
And
absolutely.
then on the amendment.
Absolutely.
So we first.
Yeah, offer that as an amendment to.
Yes.
To the, yes, so you can offer that as a formal amendment to the initial proposal, and then we will vote on that to determine if that amendment will go forward as a board. So can you offer that as a formal motion? That's what we're asking for.
Okay, so I would like to have a motion that, can you just clarify a little bit?
A motion to amend the board
Adoption.
procedures
Okay.
in the following manner. You have to be very specific.
I would like to have a motion to amend the board policy adaptation so that the process for, let me see, the president's performance evaluation includes an additional item that is stated as the process for the president's annual performance review includes an annual survey of faculty regarding on the performance of the president.
Okay, very well. So the amendment, as I understand it, I want to make sure I understand and the board understands what the amendment is, that the faculty survey be included in addition to what has already been recommended by the executive committee.
That's correct.
That we're adding that piece on as well.
That's correct.
And point of clarification, under the current procedures as they are proposed, the board can receive feedback, the executive committee would, as part of the process, from different constituents, including the faculty, although there's no specific requirement with respect to the faculty. And the amendment seems to then want to require that there actually have to be the faculty input as part of it, even though the board contemplates that as a possibility.
That's correct.
Discussion, if we could, around this, I believe.
Well, one, the information that you're presenting, I will apologize, but I am not I understand the process that you're putting down for a number of different inputs into the valuation. I think what I don't have fixed in my mind is how exactly, and I heard you, Attorney Milton, but exactly how what you are saying, are we just adding to what we have already passed, or are we replacing? I'm a visual person, I'm sorry, sir, if I had both of them and had the opportunity to discuss it, then I think I personally just need a little bit more understanding on how the two work together. I don't.
Let me
that.
clarify. Section 3, Part B, Section 3 has parts from A to H, and I propose to add another item right after H as this.
Oh, you're adding that item
Right.
after the item that was in there. I got you.
Making it a requirement, a part of the evaluation process,
That's
that the
correct.
survey of the faculty be included, whereas currently it is implicit in the current evaluation process that the executive committee takes into consideration at its pleasure, leisure, faculty input, et cetera, as we do the work that we do. You're saying make that actual concrete part of the policy.
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Would it be appropriate, since Dr. Segman also referred to other comparable universities and processes, would it be appropriate to refer this back to the executive committee for them to discuss it much further, a further discussion, bringing these other types of, if there are comparable processes and
look at,
policies, I think it'd be better to be able to review those and to make a better decision. That might be a way to handle this issue,
And
just as
also-
a suggestion.
Yeah.
Also, Mr. Chairman, we may pick up some additional information out of some of those policies
Correct.
we weren't aware of or had not consulted previously. Give us more information. I just need more information.
I concur with Mr. Corbell on what he just said.
Very well. Anyone else from the board?
So what we could do is he could, one, withdraw his motion, and we could move to refer
To the executive.
the matter back to executive
Yeah.
committee
Yeah.
for study and evaluation.
Correct me if I'm incorrect. I would think that that motion dies for a lack of a second.
That would be correct. That would be correct if there is no second. That is correct. The discussion is on the floor, and
We need a new motion?
we would need a new motion to defer this back to the executive committee.
Mr. Chairman, if that other motion died, but do lack a second, I make a motion that we refer this issue back to the executive committee for further consideration and further criteria for review for performance for the president of the university.
I would second that motion.
Okay, it has been properly moved and second, and the motion, so I can be very clear about that, is that the recommendation has now been made by Trustee Segman to take this back to the executive committee for evaluation and to determine then what a new motion would be to bring back to the board at our next meeting or further meeting going forward. Is that
And include that material.
Include the
And
material
include the
that.
and
he-
include the
he was-
materials
Discussion.
in the discussion, correct. Want to make sure I get that exactly right, Counselor.
Yes.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay, very well. All right,
Thank you.
all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? All right, so moved. Thank you. All right, this concludes the executive committee report. And the next item on the agenda is the president's report, and allow me to take a personal privilege, as I always do when I present the president of the university, to celebrate the extraordinary leadership of this university. And it's a joy to serve this board, knowing that this university is in tremendous hands, and we celebrate leadership. And so let's receive great Dr., wonderful President Linda Glover.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. This is the President's report. I have an agenda in front of you. We will first give just some highlights of the accreditation updates, something on enrollment management. I want to just run through the funding formula, some information once more, talk about institution advancement, go through some of the safety initiatives, and then talk about our legislative agenda. First, accreditation. As was mentioned earlier by Trustee Martin, SAC-COC, the business team, the peer review team, met with TSU September 19th through 21st, and they met with board members, administrators, faculty, staff, students in different groups. And the peer review assessed the extent to which we were in compliance with governor's standards. This was the cause of focus, so this is the post-focus. Peer review found TSU to be in compliance with all standards pertaining to the governor's change. As we say in layman terms, there were no findings. So next, the program accreditations. Education was reaffirmed during the year, music was reaffirmed, and social work. Continuing accreditation also for both the bachelor's and master's programs. And the master's program in social work is a joint program with MTSU. This year, we have one site visit that's with Art and Design, that's in March of 2018. And enrollment management, these are the enrollment numbers as of this fall. We have a total enrollment of 8,461 students, broken down by 6,756 undergraduates and 1,705 graduate students. That is down by 3.3% from last year. We're looking at the trends, and the next chart will show you some of the things that we're doing as it relates to enrollment management. We are streamlining our recruitment processes. We want to have a greater focus on the higher achieving students, the talented students that we're seeking. We're targeting some various populations, especially community colleges, and we're looking at non-traditional students as a continuum market, putting more emphasis on those. And the social media marketing and TSU branding, we're especially putting a concerted emphasis on increased social media. We're developing more partnerships with various school superintendents in major cities, and we're encouraging TSU alumni to help us as they'll assist us as we try to provide more assistance in the area of recruiting. And just more direct contact with potential students and increasing our focus on completion as part of enrollment management. Funding formula, just by way of review, it is outcomes-based, it's performance-based from the Complete College Tenancy Act of 2010, and the Formula Review Committee is the one that reviews and recommends changes, and TSU is a member of that committee. In fact, all 6 universities, all 6 members comprise that committee, well, part of that committee. And the funding formula is based on weights and just provides incentives for institutions for completion and workforce preparation. Again, these are the weights. We went over these last time, but I thought I would just kind of emphasize the weights. You can see what weights TSU put on them and compared to what weights other universities. We're stronger, in some areas we're much stronger. Well, our weights are large in research and servers. You can see that's 19.6%, the research part, as opposed to an average of 7.9%. The six-year graduation rate, we're 22.4% as opposed to 27% as the weight for the other universities. So there are some things this doesn't show how well we've done, it just shows the weights. At a later date, we will do some comparisons that will show how we fare with outcomes-based formula. The fundraising and partnerships. As you can see, the 3 years for our institution advancement. For the grants, we went from $51.5 million in fiscal year 14-15 to $55.47 million in fiscal year 15-16. We dropped down last year to $43.6 million. And then this year, we have our goal of $50 million again, which we hope we can reach and exceed. In addition to the grants and the government contracts, which are also included in that number, we have a fundraising goal for this year of about $10 million. For the safety initiatives, we want to make sure that the campus is aware of the safety initiatives and others that we do on the campus. We just have continued our overall reduction in crime on campus. We have the governor's, in his governor's budget, he set aside $1.9 million in funding for safety initiatives for TSU, and then there was additional safety funding, which we had over $2 million last year in funding that we are definitely using to help secure the campus, which was a big, big help for us. So we just continue to increase the police visibility on campus by hiring additional police and additional security officers. We've continued to control access to the campus and to use the swipe system. We're enforcing the ID cards. Then there's, we've implemented the LEMAC audit, the results and the recommendation from the LEMAC audit. We're still making sure we're implementing those recommendations for improvement. And then we've reintroduced the bike patrol. And we've just proceeded with the Chief of Police accreditation, which we plan to have completed by the year 2019. And then we've facilitated a system for the digital recording of incident reports to assist us. Participated in the active shooter training for several officers, for sworn officers. And then we've done more for body cameras, updated the use of body cameras. Overall, we've improved safety on campus. It is a continuing improvement. It is very lucid. It's continuing. It's dynamic, and we're ensuring that we're keeping the campus safe. We have a good police and emergency management area, so we are depending on them to continue to keep the campus safe. The last is the legislative agenda. The capital match, I think we announced to you earlier, at one point it was 25%. Anytime there was capital for the buildings that were under the auspices of funding, it was 25% had to be done by the respective institutions, but that went from 25% to 10%, and now THEC requires from 5 to 15%. So that's a big help to universities, especially to TSU. The land grant match, now we receive 1-to-1 match from USDA federal funds. This year we're seeking a 3-to-1 match, and we're doing that because University of Tennessee, and not just because of that, but we just note the University of Tennessee receives far more than the minimum of 1-to-1. So we believe our program is just as marketable and just as excellent. Then we're still seeking more funding for security out of this budget. Even though we got it last year, we're seeking some more again this year, $2 million. We want to form more public-private partnerships, and we want the Cumberland Initiative. That's going to be. We asking that to be in the budget. We're seeking $10 million to assist us in getting this off the ground, because it's going to ultimately lead to huge and significant economic and community development, particularly in a city like Nashville that's growing so tremendously. We believe we can be a part of that growth, TSU being anchored in North Nashville. And then again, the guns on campus, we want to revisit that and ensure that we join in again with the universities to not to have students have guns on campus. Mr. Chairman, that's the last chart that we have, and I'll entertain any questions.
All right. Okay. Any questions for the President? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Truly appreciate that. I think there may have been an oversight, and I've allowed myself to go backpedal a little on the executive after we did the executive report. Absolutely overlooked the agenda items. If you look at each 3E, I think that's it on your it's page 10. Are you seeing that? That's the place, I think. All right, very good. Let me backpedal, if I may. Take the chairman privilege here. Thank you. All right. So I want to address the item on the agenda from the executive committee report. As chair of the board, the chair of the executive committee, I report out the action information items from today's executive committee meeting. The executive committee met today to discuss and vote on specific committee agenda items, and the committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the executive committee minute meetings and adoption of the board executive committee procedures governing the president's annual performance review. Okay. The executive committee also discussed the plan to review the president's Glover's salary and compensation package to ensure competitiveness with presidents at peer institutions. The executive committee will report back to the board at a later date on its review of any of the related recommendations. As I stated earlier, the executive committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the August 17, 2007. Am I repeating myself?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we were
I'm
doing-
certain, I'm going in circles. Okay, I'm certain this is what we discussed earlier?
Yes.
Okay,
we
did.
thank you, very well.
got it.
All right,
Okay.
we've been going since 8 this morning, so excuse us.
So, yeah,
Very
we
well.
did.
I didn't want to make sure I didn't
Don't forget
overlook
that.
that's a very important matter to our president, so thank you so much. I'm
Appreciate it.
back this way, we're not
Thank you
circular.
for thinking of it.
Absolutely. We don't want to ever overlook those areas. Very well. I'd rather be an error there, in redundancy than, and
Got it.
that's for all of you. Very well. Is there any other business before us? If there's no other additional business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
The question is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers, say nay. All right, the motion is approved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned.
All right, all right.